In the previous lesson, we looked at how to draw this character that I've named Fred from different angles. And we drew the front view first, and then I drew a profile view or a side view, and splitting the difference, drew the 45-degree view in between. And then to add two more frames or two more angles, I split the difference between the front view and the 45-degree view, and drew what in essence is about a 30-degree view, and then split the 45 in the profile and drew in essence a 67-degree view. We're going to use these 5 different symbols. I created each one as a symbol in the library, and we're going to animate Fred turning his head on the stage. So I've got a layer, I already named it Fred, it's got a blank keyframe now. I'm going to take head 1 and position the head. Move it up just a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to animate this head. I'm going to insert a keyframe, and I'm going to select the head and swap it for head 2. Now when I do that, you'll notice the head shifted over here to the left a little bit. If I drag the playhead, you'll see the head is shifting. I really just want to have it turn on that pivot point where my ruler guide is. So on the second frame, I'm going to take the head and just going to nudge it over to the right until it basically is hitting the top of the circle of the head and the very bottom of that circle for the head. Next, I'm going to add in another keyframe. Select the head, swap it for head 3. So very much in the way that we did the goose flying in a flight cycle, we now have a head turn cycle. I'm going to insert another keyframe, swap this for head 4, insert a keyframe, and swap this one for head 5. And the head, for the most part, hits that pivot point pretty well. I might nudge this one just a little bit, and I can drag the playhead through to see how that looks. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to have him look over here to the right a little bit. Now, as I look at these different positions of the head or different angles, I really do not like this profile view. It's very flat, and the front view is also kind of flat. And that's why you'll see in most cartoons, you're going to see characters drawn at a slight angle, anywhere from 30 to 67 degrees. 45 degrees probably is the most common view. If I were doing this for a client, I might want to take this view out and only have those 4 head turns so that he doesn't look completely off to the right, but is gazing out in that direction, but the head's not turning completely over 90 degrees. For now, I'll leave that in, because all we're doing here is demonstrating how to do a head turn. I'm going to have him look out that way a little bit. So I'm going to go out about 10 frames or so, insert a keyframe. And now I'm going to start to turn that head back. So I'm going to insert a keyframe and swap the head back for 4. Keyframe. Swap the head back for 3. Insert a keyframe. Head 2. And then finally on frame 20, insert a I'm going to insert a keyframe. And we're going to swap it for head 1. So now he's turned back forward. So here's our animation. It's facing forward, looks to the right, gazes that way a little direction, and turns back. Now in that last frame, the head is spinning again. So I'm going to move this head over. And now I'm going to have him move or turn his head over to the left. Now I might want to have him pause a little bit this direction first. Go out a few frames, insert a keyframe, or I could actually just insert a frame and then insert a keyframe. And this one I'm going to swap the head for head 2. And I want to flip this head horizontally, so modify, transform, flip horizontal. And I need to move this head back into place. So that he's staying on the pivot point. That looks okay to me. So now I'm going to continue the head turn. I'm going to insert a keyframe, swap this one for head 3. And because I've already applied a transformation to the symbol, that transformation is applied when I swap the symbol. Head 4. And we'll have him looking off to the left now with head 5. And I might actually take those and just nudge them down a couple more pixels to the left, each one of these. And that looks a little bit better. I'm not seeing the head move quite as much. Okay, we'll have him look off to the left for a little bit. Let's go out to about maybe 10 frames or so. Insert a keyframe. Go back to this keyframe. We're going to swap him out for head 4. Keyframe. Head 3. Keyframe. Head 2. And keyframe head 1. Now I want to make sure that the head ends up in the same position here as it was on the first frame. So I'm going to position it roughly. And then I'm going to kind of jump over here to the first frame and see if he moves at all. Now one thing I'm noticing is the mouth position is moving. So when we flipped his head over to the left, the mouth turned up on the right hand side and down on the left. So I want to flip this character back. I'm going to select it, go to the Modify menu, Transform Horizontal. And now let's look between these two frames. Frame 1, frame 45. And so he's nudged a little bit to the right. I'm going to select him. Let's try moving him about 3 pixels to the left. And it looks like he's still off about a pixel. And there he is in the exact same position. I could have also copied this frame and pasted it. That might have been an even faster way to do it. Let's extend this down a few frames. So I'd kind of like to have an even number of frames that's divisible by 4. 56 might be a great choice here. And I'll explain in a minute why I wanted to be divided by 4. Okay, let's actually test our animation here at this point. And the head turns very nicely for me. Okay, so let's add a body to Fred. I'm going to add another layer. Move this layer down. I'm going to lock my Fred layer. Name this one Body. And we're going to add a body to Fred on this layer. So I'm going to start with a fill of none. I'll just create a rectangle. Be a little wide. Couple points. Angle this down a little bit, and Go ahead and add a little curve. And we'll add some sleeves. And I'm just going to select the sleeve here and his arm. Copy, paste, and I'm going to flip that horizontally. And we'll create the arm and sleeve on the other side. So I've got a little bit of a gap here. I'm going to close that up. Oh, and I probably have a pretty big gap because the head is hiding some of my gap. I'm going to hide the head here. Notice my line doesn't go across. So I've got a humongous gap here that is not closing. I'm going to just simply cover that. Close these two gaps, and now we should be ready to paint. Make the collar just slightly different. You can turn the head back on. And so now our character has a body to him. We play this again. Notice that the body extended all the way down on the timeline to the last frame that had been established, which was frame 56. And now let's add some context of him sitting at a street corner watching the traffic go by, waiting to cross. I'm going to add a traffic pole rectangle. And got a little gradient here. I'm going to select that gradient for my fill. I'm going to add in a rectangle, which will be part of our sign. I'm going to create another rectangle. This one's going to be black, black fill. I'm going to take the text tool. Let's get a color of red. And we'll put the text of "don't walk." I want to have this "don't walk" sign flash while the animation is looping. And we have 56 frames, so if I go out to frame 14, I'm going to insert a keyframe. I'm going to go out to frame 28. Insert a keyframe. And then frame 42. And we'll insert a keyframe. So on the second keyframe here, I'm going to take my "don't walk." I'm going to select the A, and let's make it a little bit darker red. And then I'm going to take the rest of the text and make it black. This will sort of look like the sign's a little bit malfunctioning. Just gives it a little bit of character, I think. So we'll see the A kind of stay there, but it's going to dim out a little bit. And I'm just going to copy that frame, paste the frame here. And I can get rid of these excess frames from pasting that in. Select them, remove the frames. And now let's test our animation. So his head's turning and the sign is also flashing "don't walk." We'll see later how we can add in sound. So we might have a sound effect of traffic going by during this animation to even sell this scene a little bit further.